Lonely with everything, how 12 words from a waitress transformed his life forever. Jake Wilson sat in the corner of May's diner, rain pattering against the window like a soft heartbeat. Once, he had been the town's go-to handyman, a friendly face ready to lend a hand or share a laugh. But now, he felt like a ghost, haunting the very streets he used to call home. The loss of his father had left a hollow ache in his chest, and after months of fighting to care for his ailing mother, he struggled to find purpose amidst the rubble of his former life. As he picked at his plate of meatloaf, the warmth of the diner enveloped him. The nostalgic scent of mashed potatoes and gravy mingled with fresh brewed coffee, filling the air like a comforting embrace. Laughter rang out from the booths, but it felt miles away, as if he was watching a movie through a foggy lens. That was until Mia appeared. With bright eyes and a ready smile, she approached him with a pitcher of coffee. "Hey there, you look like you could use a refill," she said, warmth spilling over in her voice. Her energy was infectious. She served him a simple meal, but it was her 12 words that caught him completely off guard. "You're worth more than what you see in the mirror." Those words cut through his despair, igniting something in him that he hadn't felt in years. As he sipped the hot coffee, he felt the flicker of hope, just a tiny spark. What if he believed in himself again? And what if he did something that mattered? He thought about the community center, a once bustling hub that now stood neglected. If he could repair it, he could help restore the laughter and joy that had once filled those walls. But when Jake began rallying support, he was met with skepticism, the townsfolk looking right through him. "Just a handyman," they murmured, skepticism mingling with the smell of fried food. Each dismissal felt like a dagger in his already bruised spirit, a reminder of his place in their eyes, a simple worker unworthy to lead. As despair threatened to swallow him whole, the lessons his father had taught him flickered to life. Resilience. Courage. Standing tall against the tide. Mia noticed his struggle, her eyes alight with encouragement. She believed in him, that was enough for him to push back against the tide of doubt creeping in. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Fueled by Mia's unwavering belief, he knew it was now or never. He had to confront the townsfolk. Standing in May's diner, a wave of anticipation pulsed through the air as one neighbor scoffed, his words like shards of glass. "Why don't you just go back to your real job, Jake?" The diner fell silent, all eyes on him, waiting to see if he would retreat or stand firm. The weight of their judgment pressed down as heavy as stones. Would he shrink back into the shadows or muster the courage to speak, to show them that behind the dusty facade of a handyman was a man with dreams of revitalizing their community? The choice churned in his mind, echoing through the dying light of the diner. Jake inhaled deeply, the air thick with the scent of coffee and uncertainty. The ridicule danced around him, sharp and biting. He could feel the warmth of Mia's earlier kindness radiating within him, pushing against the coldness of doubt. This wasn't just about him anymore, it was about the community that needed a spark. Could he be that spark? He straightened in his seat, suddenly aware of the collective gaze on him. Jake cleared his throat, attempting to steady his racing heart. "Look," he started, his voice wavering but firm. "I know what you all think of me. I'm just a handyman, someone who fixes things. But I've seen the beauty that this town holds. And I've seen what we've lost." He gestured toward the diner's faded walls. "Think about the community center. Remember the concerts? The potlucks? That place was alive. It was a home for so many of us. We need to bring that back." A murmur rippled through the diner. Some looked skeptical, others curious. He pressed on, the words pouring out like the coffee Mia served warm and inviting. We're more than our jobs. We're a community. If we come together, we can rebuild the center. We can fill it with laughter again. We can dream again. With every sentence, he could feel the weight of doubt beginning to lift, light seeping into the cracks of his confidence. He caught Mia's supportive smile, her eyes glimmered with something that resembled hope. He was fueled by her belief in him. Maybe you don't see me as a leader, he continued, the words spilling from his heart now. That's fine. I don't need titles. But I believe in this town. I believe in all of you. So let us come together for what we love. Let us patch up that old center and show everyone that we can rise again. The silence hung heavily for a moment, then slowly, a few hands began to clap. Then more. Clapping turned to cheers and shouts of affirmation. Each sound was a small wave, building momentum, crashing into Jake's chest with warmth. Could it be happening? In the corner, an older woman raised her hand, a surprised smile on her face. I remember the Christmas events we used to have. I'd love to help set them up again. Another joined in, I still have boxes of decorations tucked away. Let's South fix that place up. A sense of camaraderie filled the diner, pushing away the lingering shadows of doubt. They were all gathering, a community reshaping itself before his eyes. People he had thought swept away by indifference were now inspired, not just by Jake's words, but the collective memory of what they had lost together. Jake's heart swelled with hope, a seed that sprouted and felt so lush and vibrant. But just as quickly as the warmth filled him, a chilling thought echoed in the back of his mind. Was this surge of support enough? What if it didn't last? The diner buzzed with renewed energy. Yet, beyond the excited chatter, Jake could still feel the weighty responsibility that rested on his shoulders. He was unsure whether he had the strength to lead them, how it would all unfold. In that moment of exhilaration and doubt, he caught Mia's eye again. She winked reassuringly, and he felt emboldened. So, how were they going to start? What would it take to breathe life back into that old building? Just then, the door swung open, and in walked the mayor, a stern look on her face. The chatter quieted instantly, eyes shifting toward her. What would she have to say? Would this be the wind that turned their sails or the storm that blew them off course? The mayor stepped inside, her presence immediately commanding attention. Clad in a crisp blazer, she surveyed the diner with narrowed eyes. Jake felt the weight of her gaze, heavy as lead. He could sense the shift in the room, the excitement melting into tension. Clearing her throat, she began, I heard the noise from down the street. It seems I missed quite the rally, Jake. Her tone was cool, perhaps even skeptical. Jake's stomach twisted. Would she dismiss their dreams with just a few words? Thank you for coming, Jake said, struggling to maintain his composure. We were just discussing how to revive the community center. Everyone here has great memories tied to it. We want to bring that spirit back. The mayor folded her arms, one eyebrow raised. And you think you can do this all on your own? You're just a handyman. The word sliced through the air, sharp and definitive. Mia shifted uneasily at the counter, but Jake could feel the eyes of the crowd shining with anticipation. He knew he had rallied them, they wouldn't back down now. No, ma'am, Jake replied, his voice steadier than he felt. I'm not trying to do it alone. I might just be a handyman, but what I see here is a community ready to come together. We've all felt the loss of that center, it was a lifeline for so many. I'm hoping to gather support. Are you willing to listen? At that, an elderly man in the back piped up, Mayor, we love this town. We want to do something meaningful. He had the kind of authority that came with age and experience. Several heads nodded in agreement, bolstered by the man's passion. The mayor sighed and turned her gaze back to Jake. You want my approval, then? Projects like this need funding, support, experts. It won't be easy. Have you thought about what that actually entails? I have, Jake replied earnestly. We want to start simple. Clean the place up, paint the walls, maybe host a fundraiser. Everyone here has ideas. We can organize volunteers and get sponsors. He could feel the rising energy in the room again, but he needed the mayor's buy-in. Sounds great in theory, she said, still unconvinced. But without a solid plan, you'll just run into obstacles. I'll take the chance, Jake said, feeling the swell of community support behind him. We've been waiting for someone to give us hope again. I'm willing to fight for this. His voice trembled with earnestness, and he scanned the diner for glimmers of agreement. The mayor studied him, her expression unreadable. You think fighting for it is enough? People need to see results. If you don't deliver, it'll all fall apart. The air grew electric as nods and murmurs of confidence spread among the patrons. Jake felt invigorated, though a knot of anxiety lingered in his chest. This wasn't just about him, it was about everyone. Let us make a plan, then, he said with conviction. Let us show you and the town that we can bring our center back to life. If we fail, we'll own it together. But if we succeed, this could mean everything. For a fraction of a heartbeat, the mayor's demeanor softened, just a little. All right, she said slowly. Let us see what you've got, Jake. A cheer erupted from the crowd, his heart racing at the spark ignited within the diner. As Mia slid a cup of coffee in front of him, her eyes gleamed with determination. But the path ahead felt murky. What challenges lay ahead, and would they really succeed? Jake stared back at the mayor, an unspoken challenge hanging between them. As the crowd grew louder with their plans and ideas, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battles were yet to come. How would he navigate the storm brewing within the community, and what if the mayor had doubts that could harbor roadblocks? The next morning, Jake woke up to the smell of pancakes wafting through the air. He rolled out of bed, feeling a mix of excitement and trepidation about the day ahead. Today marked the first time he would meet with the mayor officially to discuss their community center project. It felt like stepping onto a stage, unsure of what the audience would think. As he sat at the kitchen table, his phone buzzed with texts from Mia. Ready for today? Let us make it happen. With a smile creeping across his face, he typed back, let us do this. Together. Finishing breakfast, he grabbed his notes. Each scribbled idea was a promise, each hope written down felt like a spark waiting to flare. He could picture the community center bustling with life again, children laughing, neighbors gathering, memories being made. It was a vision worth fighting for. The diner was already buzzing when Jake arrived. The usual morning crowd was there, but today felt different. Patrons were engaged in hushed conversations, exchanging glances laden with hope. Mia stood behind the counter, her apron on, pouring coffee for the regulars. Her eyes lit up when she spotted him. Hey! Ready to change the world? She said with a playful grin. Jake laughed, but anxiety churned in his gut. More like change our community. But it feels like history is riding on our shoulders. Mia's expression shifted. She stepped closer, speaking softly. Jake, remember last night? You have everyone's support. You're not alone. He nodded, but doubt still lingered. What if the mayor didn't believe in their dream? Before he could spiral, the clang of the diner door interrupted his thoughts. The mayor entered, looking as composed as ever. She was flanked by Louise, the town planner, who carried a briefcase, a symbol of seriousness. Good morning, everyone. The mayor's voice cut through the murmur, bringing a hush over the diner. We're here to talk about the community center. Jake straightened, adrenaline rushing through him. As the mayor took a seat at their designated table, he glanced around. The eyes of the diner were glued to them, excitement mixing with apprehension. Whatever happened here today could change everything. I was impressed by your enthusiasm last night, Jake, the mayor began, her demeanor more relaxed than before. But let us focus on the facts. What do you envision? Jake took a deep breath, meeting her gaze. I envision a community united, a place where everyone can come together. It starts with cleanup and a fundraiser to gather resources. We even want to revive the after-school programs for kids. They need a safe space to grow. Mia's voice unexpectedly chimed in, bringing with it a wave of support. And we've been brainstorming meals to share, events to fundraise. Everyone has ideas. Louise smiled slightly, looking intrigued. That's a solid start. Community involvement is key. With renewed energy, Jake painted a picture of what the center could once again become a hub of life, laughter, and learning. He spoke with passion, his heart racing as he felt the crowd's support lifting him. But as he spoke, a flicker of doubt crossed the mayor's face. It sounds excellent, but Jake, do you really believe everyone will step up? It's one thing to be enthusiastic in a diner, but another to follow through once the hard work starts. His stomach dropped. I want to believe. His tone faltered, but then he heard a voice from the crowd. It was the elderly man from last night. We need hope. We need this center. Jake has the spirit, that's where it starts. Cheering erupted, shaking Jake's soul. A rush of warmth flooded through him, electrifying the air. The mayor glanced at her assistant, who nodded, jotting something down. All right, she said, a soft smile breaking her stoic facade. Let's talk next steps. If you want our support, we'll need a proposal that outlines your plan clearly. Can you handle that? Jake's heart raced, a mix of relief and exhilaration filling him. Yes. I can do that. As they discussed the framework the next few hours, a swell of bravery filled Jake's chest. It seemed like everything was finally falling into place. But as they concluded and the mayor stood to leave, her eyes locked on him. Remember, Jake, your community's faith in you rests heavily. Don't make promises you can't keep. She walked away, the crowd's energy simmering down, each person reflective, a weight settling back on Jake's shoulders. Had he just agreed to an impossible task? What if they couldn't deliver what he promised? He turned to Mia, trying to gauge her reaction. But before he could voice his concern, she caught his eye, her expression fierce with resolution. We've got this. Together. One question loomed larger than ever in his mind. What if this was the moment everything changed, the moment he either rose or fell? What challenge lay ahead that could derail their dreams? Jake sat in silence as the diner buzzed around him. The lively chatter faded into a dull hum as he wrestled with his thoughts. The mayor's warning reverberated in his ears, a stark reminder of the weight of expectations. Doubt prickled at his confidence. What if he let everyone down? He needed a plan, a solid, actionable plan. And fast. With Mia beside him, he could feel the hard decisions waiting just around the corner, each one as daunting as the last. Drawing in a deep breath, he allowed the sounds around him to settle as ideas started to sizzle in his mind. Let's grab a booth and brainstorm, Mia suggested, her voice soft yet insistent. She could sense his inner turmoil, and it made Jake grateful to have her in his corner. As they slid into a booth, he pulled out his notes. Okay, we need to break this down. What are our immediate steps? He began scribbling ideas, his pen dancing across the paper, fueled by a flicker of determination. Mia leaned in, her eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. How about we start with a community cleanup? Get everyone involved. It's a great way to bring people together and make a visible difference. Jake nodded, feeling excitement bubble inside him. Yes. We can post flyers, create an event page. I can talk to the elderly man from last night. Maybe he can rally some old friends. What if we start a social media campaign? Share pictures, create updates, get everyone invested in the center's progress. Mia's ideas were infectious. Minutes turned to an hour as they laid out their vision. They mapped out the cleanup weekend, drafted a flyer, and even sketched budgets for different initiatives. The weight on his shoulders began to lift, replaced by a growing sense of responsibility and purpose. But as they drafted, a worry pinched at the back of Jake's mind. Mia, what if it's not enough? What if people don't show up after all this planning? She reached across the table, laying a reassuring hand on his. Jake, it's not about just the cleanup, it's what it represents. Even if only a handful come, it's the beginning of change. And who knows? Once they see the potential for our center, it might spark something bigger. Her words resonated with him. He remembered the look of hope in the elderly man's eyes, the passion in his own voice when he spoke about the community center. It wasn't just about a building, it was about rekindling that spirit of togetherness. They spent the afternoon drafting their proposal, crafting the words carefully as they molded their dreams into something tangible, something that could be presented to the mayor. Hours flew by, and with each pen stroke, Jake felt a little lighter. As they finalized everything, Mia grinned. This is it, Jake. We're ready. Jake took a deep breath, the anticipation thrilling him. Tomorrow morning, we present this. I can't believe we pulled it together. Just then, the diner door swung open again, and the elderly man walked in, a bright smile plastered across his weathered face. You're back at it, I see. What's the plan? Jake met Mia's gaze, and together, they shared their vision. As they spoke, more patrons gathered, eager ears soaking in the warmth of their dreams. Each word they shared poured life into the ideas they had worked so hard to create. The dim shadows of doubt were replaced with the vibrant light of hope. But as laughter and excitement filled the diner, Jake couldn't ignore the nagging thought, what if the mayor rejected their proposal? Was it time to risk everything on belief alone? As he watched the community rally around them, he whispered under his breath, what if this is just the beginning? Mia turned toward him, a knowing glimmer in her eyes. Then it will be a beginning worth fighting for. Just then, the door burst open, and a loud voice pierced the moment, a voice they all recognized. Did someone say community center? The unexpected visitor stepped in with an urgency that made Jake's heart skip. What new twist was about to unfold? The diner fell silent as the familiar figure strode in, the boldness in his posture demanding attention. Jake turned, heart racing, as none other than the mayor himself stepped forward. His presence was equal parts commanding and charismatic, the kind of politician who lit up a room just by being in it. What brings you here? Jake stammered, a mix of surprise and anxiety clawing at his insides. I heard there was some excitement about a community center, the mayor replied, eyeing the gathered crowd with a curious smile. I couldn't resist. I want to hear all about it. Mia's mouth dropped open for a moment before she quickly composed herself. They had just been hatching their plans, not knowing how rapidly they could become reality, and now the mayor himself was standing before them. Well, we were just brainstorming some ideas, she began, her voice steady despite the electricity in the air. Jake and I thought a community cleanup could be a great start. We want to bring people together, make the center a place for everyone. The mayor nodded thoughtfully, his gaze fixed on Jake. There's potential there. Community involvement is key to turning this center around. People need to feel like they're part of it. Jake held his breath, the weight of expectation pressing against his chest. We're drafting a proposal to get more funding and support, he added, struggling to keep his voice steady. We want to create events that engage everyone, families, seniors, even kids. The mayor's brow raised slightly, intrigued. That's exactly the spirit we need. But here's the thing, I'll support programs that have community backing. This cleanup event, you need to show me that people want it. If they come and get involved, it looks good for all of us. His words felt like a race against time. We will, Jake promised, determination creeping back into his voice. It will be more than just a cleanup, it will spark conversations, get people excited. Good, the mayor replied, crossing his arms. Then let us turn it into a real event. I want to see some creative marketing out there by the end of the week. Jake's heart soared. This was a chance, and he couldn't let the moment pass. We'll start promoting it right away, he declared, feeling Mia's warmth beside him, her silent support bolstering his resolve. As the mayor began to chat with the older patrons, Jake and Mia exchanged quick gleeful glances, the energy between them electric. Everyone began to stir, excitement igniting in the air. Patrons leaned in to share their ideas, their voices mingling with laughter. But underneath the surface cheered on anticipation laid Jake's inner turmoil. What if we can't pull it off? What if we can't rally anyone? He wondered, but Mia squeezed his hand under the table, as if she could read his thoughts. Jake, she whispered, leaning close, nothing worth doing is easy. If we can convert this energy into action, we'll inspire those doubts away. He nodded, filled with hope, and for the first time, he could see a glimmer of what the future might hold. Success was no longer just a vague idea. It hung like a bright promise in front of him. As the diner's atmosphere shifted to one of collaboration and aspiration, they started throwing around new ideas. A bake sale? A neighborhood potluck? Their ideas collided and transformed in real time, becoming something bright and alive. Just then, the mayor raised his voice over the chatter. Let us get to work, folks. This community center is going to be amazing, but only if we all pitch in. In that moment, Jake realized how quickly things could change. With every pulse of excitement in the room, the weight of expectation transformed into a collective desire for community. But as the plans took shape, Jake felt an inkling of worry. The mayor's enthusiasm had ignited many ideas, but how would they execute them all? Would they be enough to truly make a difference? Then, amidst the gathering encouragement, an older woman piped up from the corner of the diner, her voice clear and strong. You know, a community is only as good as its leader. The comment sent a wave of collective curiosity across the room. Everyone turned to Jake, eyes gleaming with expectation. He realized this wasn't just about the center anymore, it was also about him. Just what kind of leader am I going to be? Jake thought, as the weight of his decision settled heavily on his shoulders. As he looked around the room at the faces filled with hope, he felt a rush of clarity. Tomorrow's proposal wasn't just an opportunity for the center, it was a chance to inspire an entire community. But the question loomed over him: could he truly become the leader they needed? And as if on cue, Mia leaned closer, a hint of mischief in her eyes. You have it in you, Jake, and I think it's time to find out just how far you're willing to go. What was he prepared to sacrifice to turn this budding dream into a thriving reality? The next day dawned bright and clear, but all Jake could think about was the pressure closing in on him. The diner buzzed with energy. Mia had already posted flyers about the community cleanup jam, grabbing people's attention as they flickered past on their morning routines. Yet, as he arrived, a knot twisted tightly in his stomach. Jake! Mia called, waving a flyer in the air. Her excitement was infectious, but it only amplified his anxiety. Look, I got the local businesses to pitch in. They're all on board for snacks and drinks. That's awesome, Mia, he replied, forcing a smile. But what if they change their minds? We don't really have the support we need yet. Come on, let us not think like that. She urged, her eyes sparkling. You have to believe in this. The mayor believes in us. He won't step out the next time without seeing real progress. They spent the next hour in the diner, surrounded by their friends and neighbors. The meeting point had transformed into a cauldron of ideas. With every passing moment, the air thickened with anticipation. People were beginning to see something bigger than just a cleanup. They could envision new programs, fresh faces, and rekindled connections. But beneath the surface, doubt gnawed at Jake. What if I'm not cut out for this? he whispered to Mia as she jotted down notes. What if I lead everyone into a dead end? Her expression softened, she placed a hand on his arm. People don't expect you to be perfect. They just want someone who cares. Yeah, but what if my caring is not enough? Then we do it together, she said firmly. We'll find a way. You've got more inside than you think, you just need to trust yourself. Jake sighed, absorbing her words as he glanced around the diner. People were discussing ideas, some animatedly while others nodded in agreement. Their faces bore the marks of hope, and he couldn't let that down. Okay, let us make a list, he said, leaning closer to Mia. We need catchy slogans. We need a way to get everyone talking. As they threw their creative thoughts around, laughter erupted. The chatter grew louder, with snippets of everyone's excitement spooling into ideas for social media posts, flyers, and even a banner for the event. But then a deep voice rang out from the back. Aren't you worried, Jake? It was Mr. Henderson, an elderly gentleman who often grumbled more than he spoke. You're talking big. But talk is cheap. What if nobody shows up? The diner fell quiet. Jake felt the weight of every gaze on him. He straightened his shoulders. I can't worry about what might happen. We've got to focus on what we can do now, come together as a community. His heart raced, the challenge echoing in his chest. Mia's eyes flickered with admiration, pushing Jake to dig deeper. What can we offer that's different? What will have people wanting to join us, not just to show up but to really make a change? Just then, inspiration struck. Let us invite local talent. Artists, musicians. We can host a small showcase to make it a big day, a reason for folks to come out and celebrate. Cheers erupted, and the electric feeling surged back through the room. They didn't just want a cleanup, they wanted a moment of connection, a festival of unity. Yes. That's the spirit. Mia echoed, her excitement redoubling now that Jake found his footing. But as the idea solidified, there's still that nagging doubt in the back of his mind. Was it really enough to rally the community together? Leaving the diner that day, Jake felt lighter, yet the weight stayed. Suddenly, every decision felt monumental and the fear of failing grew. And then, just before he stepped out the door, Mia called out. Jake, remember, great leaders inspire others. It's not about being perfect, it's about moving forward together. As he stood outside, a flicker of determination ignited within him. He took a deep breath, resolute. If they were going to do this, they needed to do it right. But as he strategized their next steps, a shadow loomed over his enthusiasm. What if he stepped out of his comfort zone only to crash and burn? And with that thought, he couldn't shake the feeling that something more was waiting around the corner. Would he rise to the challenge or fall short before it all began? That fear clawed at him, but so did an undeniable urge to push forward, no matter the stakes. What remained unseen was how far they could go together and what lies within Jake that even he hasn't uncovered yet. The next morning brought an overwhelming sense of urgency. Jake woke up with a mix of excitement and anxiety brewing in his chest. The community cleanup jam was just 2 days away, and he had already begun losing sleep over every detail. Coffee in hand, he scrolled through social media, seeing Mia's relentless posts. People were starting to share her enthusiasm, they commented about the food and live music, but Jake couldn't shake the creeping fear that it wouldn't be enough. As he headed to meet Mia at the diner, his mind raced. Morning, Jake. Mia greeted, her smile brightening the otherwise crowded diner. Look. The local news is coming to cover our event. She pointed at a message on her phone, clearly thrilled. That's great, but he hesitated, unsure how to frame his thoughts. But what? Her gaze was steady, searching his face for the doubt she knew loomed there. I just don't want to let anyone down. What if they show up and it's just not what they expected? What if it's a flop? Mia rolled her eyes playfully. You're thinking too much. We've come so far. Look at these people, she gestured around the bustling diner. They care, Jake. This is a moment where we can all come together. Jake took a deep breath. It was as if Mia's words were a tether to his surfacing hope. They lined the counter with a large notepad, mapping out the final details. Names of local musicians filled one column, potential food donations from nearby restaurants filled another. But then, just as he began to feel the thrill of possibility, doubt slipped back in. What if no one shows up? What if he faltered? What if they realize we're just a small town with small ideas? Jake, Mia interrupted gently. Even small ideas can spark big changes. You know that. Look around you. People want to be part of something that matters. This cleanup? It's just the start. As they worked, an eclectic blend of voices formed a vibrant backdrop, laughter floated over the clinking of dishes, soft music played from a corner jukebox. For a moment, amidst the chaos of uncertainty, Jake felt that spark of excitement he had longed for. But then, a shock ran through him as a familiar figure stepped into the diner. Mr. Henderson. The old man had a habitual demeanor that usually inspired a sense of caution among locals. He shuffled over, hands tucked into his dusty coat. Mia, Jake, I need to talk to you both. Jake felt a shiver of apprehension. Hey, Mr. Henderson. He prepared for the lecture he was sure was coming. I've been thinking about this event of yours, Mr. Henderson began, his tone uncharacteristically serious. I may have been harsh before, but I've seen people gather, and I understand there's more at stake here than just a cleanup. Jake's heart raced. Was the man actually coming to support them? I'll lend a hand, he continued, and I'll help get the word out through those who still listen to me. It's high time we bring this town together. Mia's eyes sparkled with hope. Really? That would mean a lot to us, Mr. Henderson. Thank you. Jake, struggling to process the unexpected change in Mr. Henderson's attitude, felt a slight shift inside him. If you're willing to try, maybe we really can do this. Just then, the door swung open again, and a group of teenagers walked in, one of them carrying a guitar case. Are you guys planning that cleanup fest? One asked, eager curiosity painted on their faces. Jake felt warmth spread through him. Yeah, we are. You want to join? They nodded enthusiastically, rallying together to brainstorm last-minute ideas with Mia and Jake, bustling with energy and excitement. As conversations flowed, he saw the glimmer of something familiar: community. A feeling he thought had faded. Jake could hardly believe how much had shifted in just a day. Amidst the rising energy, an unexpected thought grew clearer: hope was building. Yet, as laughter filled the diner, the question lingered at the back of Jake's mind: would hope be enough to carry them through? And would he, in the end, step up and lead them, or would he crumble again under the weight of his fears? As the door closed behind a bustling group of newcomers, an unsettling feeling crept back in. What if, despite this momentum, something could tear it all away? Jake awoke the next morning feeling a strange mix of excitement and dread. The community cleanup jam was only a day away now, an event that had started as a flicker of an idea but was now an inferno of anticipation. He needed to channel that intensity into something productive. The phone buzzed with notifications, reminders of who had signed up, who was bringing what, and even a message from Mr. Henderson echoing his support. After a quick breakfast, he grabbed his jacket and headed out, his mind racing with last-minute preparations. As he approached the diner, he spotted Mia talking animatedly with some of the teenagers from yesterday. They were animated, laughing, and brainstorming ideas about decorations and games. It was infectious, and despite the last remnants of doubt pulling at his heart, a flicker of hope ignited within him. Jake. Mia motioned him over. We've got some fantastic ideas for the event. These kids are bubbling with creativity. He joined them, enthusiasm slowly replacing his anxiety. What's the latest? I was thinking, said a girl with bright blue hair, twisting a curl around her finger, why not have a before and after competition? Like, we take a picture of the park before we start and then another after. The best transformation gets a prize. That's brilliant. Mia grinned. Jake felt the warmth spreading through him. Ideas were flowing, vibe was shifting. As they talked, Jake noticed Mr. Henderson leaning against the diner's wall, nodding along with the excitement. Jake's heart pounded. The old man had become an unexpected ally, and seeing him here felt like a silent declaration that change was indeed possible. But just then, his phone buzzed again. This time, it was a news alert. Local cleanup fest, high hopes, low attendance. The headline felt like a bucket of ice water over his simmering excitement. Panic gripped him again. Everything okay? Mia asked, her voice laced with concern. Jake swallowed hard. Just a harsh reminder. What if no one shows up? Jake, this is a community event. You're right, people might hesitate, but you also have Mr. Henderson spreading the word now. Who knows what this could become? As if summoned by Mia's words, a man from the local hardware store walked in. Hey, I heard there's a cleanup going on. Can I sign up to help? The moment he spoke, it was like a wave crashing through Jake's fears. One person, and suddenly there was potential. Absolutely. He replied, his voice louder, more confident. We'll be at the park at 10. Bring your friends. One by one, others began showing up, expressing their eagerness to join in. It felt surreal, how quickly the tension dissolved into laughter and joy. They started planning games for the kids, posters to hang up, and a makeshift stage for the local bands. Jake couldn't help but think, this was how community was built, not just through grand ideals, but through sharing small moments and efforts. But even amidst the joy, a shadow loomed, deep inside him. What if things went sideways despite the enthusiasm? What if the event flopped, leaving him to confront all his fears? When Mia turned to him, her eyes shining, he felt the weight of her belief in him. You were worried about the event not being enough, she said softly. But what I see is people coming together already. That's all that matters. Her words sank in. He didn't need to lead alone, this was a collective effort. And if they stumbled? They'd stumble together. As the diner buzzed with activity and chatter, Jake felt buoyed by a rising certainty. Perhaps hope wasn't just a flicker after all, perhaps it was a fire they could all stoke together. But then, just as everything started to fall into place, his phone buzzed once more, a new message flashing on the screen. The sender was someone he hadn't expected to hear from, his estranged brother, asking to talk. Jake's heart skipped a beat. Would this new communication bring more hope or unravel everything he'd just begun to rebuild? As he stared at the message, he felt a growing weight in his chest. What would it mean for the cleanup jam and for him? The answers hung in the air, just out of reach, an impending storm that could either shatter all that hope or bind it together in ways he had never anticipated. Jake stood in the park the next day, flanked by colorful decorations and picnic tables laden with food. The sun shone brightly, casting an optimistic glow over the scene. He looked around, his heart racing and hope flickering in his chest. Today was the day the community cleanup jam was finally here. The turnout had exceeded expectations. Families, teens, and even older folks were filling the park, chatting, laughing, and enjoying the infectious energy in the air. As he caught sight of Mia managing a small group of kids, pointing out where they could start picking up trash, a warm wave of gratitude washed over him. They had come together like pieces of a puzzle, fitting seamlessly to form a vibrant picture of community. Hey! She called, grinning widely as she tossed him a roll of garbage bags. Don't just stand there, Mr. Man of the Hour. Get to work. Jake laughed, feeling the nerves that had gripped him all morning start to dissolve. Right. Let South make this place shine. As he set to work with a group of eager kids, he felt a surge of purpose. Each piece of litter he picked up felt like a small victory, not just for the park, but for everything this day represented. The forgotten community center was no longer a relic of the past, it felt alive again. He looked around, noting the way smiles painted the faces of everyone engaged in the cleanup. As the day rolled on, music floated from the makeshift stage. Local bands took turns performing, uplifting hearts with familiar tunes. The energy was electric. They hadn't just emerged to clean, they were there to celebrate what they could achieve together. But just as he began to feel the day's magic, a familiar figure approached the mayor. The stern look from their last meeting echoed in his memory. Had she come to see how things were unfolding? "Jake," she called, catching his attention. He straightened, heart pounding in his chest. "I have to say, I'm impressed. The turnout is great." "Thank you." Jake felt the warmth of excitement swell in his chest. "People are rallying together. It's incredible to see." The mayor nodded, a smile breaking her usually serious demeanor. "It's wonderful to witness the community breathe life back into this. This is the kind of event that gives me hope." She paused, "and leadership isn't just about authority, it's about inspiring others. You've done that today." Jake's heart soared, feeling both humbled and encouraged. "I didn't do it alone, though. Mia helped a lot. We're all in this together, really. I can see that. And don't underestimate the power of those who are willing to support you. You've shown them a vision." She glanced at the crowd with fondness before looking back at him. "This event could lead to bigger projects. You've proven you can rally them." "Thank you," Jake replied earnestly. Her acknowledgement felt like validation of all the hard work and uncertainty of the past weeks. They stood together in a moment of shared understanding, a bridge built over doubt. Just then, everyone erupted in cheers as a local band struck up a popular tune. It was a moment of pure joy, and laughter echoed as families danced together, soaking in the fun. Jake turned to take it all in. The day had transformed him. He no longer felt like the lost handyman, he felt like a leader, part of something that mattered. As kids dragged colorful stretchers filled with trash bags toward the bins, he felt a lightness, knowing they were leaving behind not only a cleaner park but a reminder of what could be achieved when they stood united. But then, as he reveled in the festivities, his phone buzzed again. Glancing down at the screen, he noticed it was a message from his brother, his heart dropping slightly at the potential uncertainty that relationship could bring. The thought of family was daunting, especially during such a joyful moment. But maybe, just maybe, it was time to address that part of his life too. Perhaps it could lead to healing not just for him, but for them both. As the last band closed out the evening's music, Jake stepped back, looking at Mia and the crowd, laughter ringing all around. He felt changed, ignited by something larger than himself. What had begun as a single sentence, a simple reminder of his worth, had sparked a wildfire of momentum, transforming the community's spirit and maybe even his own path forward. He inhaled deeply, the scent of fresh grass and lively energy flooding his senses. This was just the beginning. He felt ready to embrace the challenges ahead, to confront his brother, and to nurture the bonds they had always shared, as family should. "Hey, Mia!" Jake called with newfound resolve, his voice threaded with excitement. "Let us keep this going." "What do you mean?" she asked, wiping sweat from her brow as she joined him. "Let us organize more events, rally people to bring life back to the community center. We can make this place thrive again." Mia's eyes sparkled with joy. "Absolutely. Together, we'll make it happen." Jake smiled, filled with hope and determination. It's time to redefine what home meant and to lead everyone into a new chapter together, a chapter that honored their past, embraced their present, and fearlessly pursued their future. "Let us do it," he exclaimed, heart full to bursting, ready to take on the next adventure that awaited them all. And as the sun set, illuminating the park in a golden hue. The sense of a new dawn washed over him. They would rise together, stronger and more united than ever before. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support means the world. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Don't wait not even one more second, let us create a ripple effect of change. True fans understand the importance of supporting our community.